Raghuvir's story about how Baba sat while everybody gave him the milk bath makes me think of when he would be at Guru Purnima in Vrindavan. He would sit for hours, and thousands of people would come, and he would just sit there the whole day, and then at the end of the day he'd get up. He just it was amazing, and it would his body would just almost swell up. It was there was so much attention on him, and he just was so much there for people, and people would bring malas to him and put them over his neck. So by the end of the day, sometimes he'd have a wad of malas on his neck, a huge amount, and then he'd come over before we'd walk off for Mahaprasad in the evening, and he'd just put this whole amount of malas of all different types over my neck, and this would go on for days, and so I'd have all these malas, and then other times Babaji would also. A lot of times I would be standing next to him when people would come up to talk to him, and he'd put malas on my neck all the time. And I'm pretty much a person that one mala is all I need. And so I've come to realize now, because we're donating these malas to the temple in Colorado, I've come to realize now that he was actually, all those malas he was putting on my neck were for all the people that they were going to end up with. And so over the years, they've gradually ended up, and there's still a lot left, and they'll all find a lovely home. And that's also Babaji's love. Everything he did was love.
I had also boxes full of stuff which he had given me through the years. After the Samadhi, I was so disappointed with him leaving without telling me that all this stuff also ended up by everybody who was passing. I just shared it all out.
Yeah. I think that's what it was meant for in the first place.
Yeah, of course.
The night or my night before I was in the West, that Babaji left his body, he came to me and said he was going. And I just started crying and grabbed his feet and said, hey, don't go. And he even had told me the last time I was in Haidakhandi that he was body in 1984. And then I finally surrendered to it a little, and he had me, he put the thought in my head that when I saw Munij Raj, I should bow at Munij Raj's feet. And, he was telling me, and there was, the drama that went on before when Babaji left his body about who should be, kind of help us move forward. And Munij Raj was definitely that person. So, I think Babaji was always I know he's always watched over us our whole lives, and sometimes people ask me how you were so lucky to meet Babaji, and I used to think that it was luck, and that I just, when I was young and I first physically met Babaji, I fasted, and I thought I did all these things to encourage us to meet, but as I've come to realize life more, I realized there was no way that I couldn't have met Babaji. I was and I think that's, if we really want to be in our heart with the divine, there's nothing that will stop us. And I could have stood on my head for a year and fallen over, and then I would meet Babaji. It wouldn't be the standing on my head part. It would be when I fell over that I would meet him.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's still there for us in any way we want him to be.
Yeah, I think it was somehow destined to happen, and
yeah. Can't imagine it not happening.
I didn't know these things before meeting him, but now. And here we are, 33 years after. It's still like yesterday, and
still in the moment. Yeah. Yesterday and tomorrow, I think that we still, all of us still have the experiences that we feel Babaji at a moment here or there, or if we're not listening, we hear him, and there's nothing that's not there for us now that was there then.
And it is still valid also now for anybody, really. If you meet this Murti, or you hear these stories, or you read something and you look at a picture of Babaji and you feel something, then it's up to you to develop that thing that you feel, and is there in the same way for everybody, really. Also now, even in the beginning, after the Samadhi, you saw many people who came to Muniraji, and we were watching, and we saw that how they were going into all sorts of experiences and closeness with Muniraji, and wow, look, it seems to continue the play, the divine play. But even now, I noticed in Haidakhandi, people who, there's no Muniraji, there's nothing, but still people are, well, nothing, there is still
the big everything.
Yeah, with the non-physical thing, but also people go through enormous transformations just in a few days with the power of Navaratri, and Babaji's presence without his physical presence is still provoking the same things. Because there were also some people who were there in those days who somehow walked away and never came back.
Yeah. And maybe in their own way, that was enough.
Yeah.
I think another thing that Babaji really gave us was how much we love each other, and that is still
timeless, spaceless.
Yeah.
A family.
Yeah.
Babaji family, yeah.
And we haven't even met all of us yet, the family's still growing.
On that note,
I want to hear your yatra story.
Sorry?
A story of going on a yatra with Babaji, maybe from each of you. You wrote one beautiful one about going on a yatra with Babaji.
The other one, didn't I tell that a few days ago?
Mm-mm. Oh, that one, but not the one you wrote about.
So many stories.
Hiroman, do you remember going on a trip with Babaji?
I remember lots, but I was just on Claire the other day about one of my really fun experiences with Babaji. It wasn't really a yatra, but it was. I had gotten back to Haidakhandi and Baba wasn't there. He was in Rajasthan, and so Swamiji said, "Well, just wait. He'll be back in a week." And I was like, "No way! I'm not waiting a week. I have been gone for months, And so I kind of found out where he was going to be, and he was just in a small little town, and the train was weird to get there, so we took off and kind of got lost a little along the way, and then was going through, and there was a little stop, and Babaji was supposed to be at the next stop, but I could hear in the distance, people singing Om Namah Shivaya. So I knew that this was the place to get out, and so I did. Walked across the tracks, just followed the sound, and it's just in this tiny little spot. I don't know how he ended up there. Probably somebody wanted him to come to their place, and he did. And so then I walk in, and Babaji sees me and just pulls me into his lap, and just hugs me up totally, and
you were smaller then?
And I felt very small at that time, and it was just so much love, and feeding me candies, and I wasn't a big candy eater, but of course I ate those candies, and it was just like, oh, it's so nice to be home. And then that night, Babaji was sleeping in a little room up on the roof, and he would oftentimes have me sleep in the doorway in front of his rooms when we go on yatras or go to other places. And so I was sleeping there, and off in the distance was this lightning storm, And so Baba came out, and we spread my sleeping bag out, and we just laid down, and in Hawaii they say talk story, you know. It was just like we laid down and talked story and watched this lightning come closer and closer, and then it was just like, I don't even remember exactly what we said, but it was just like, you know, spending time with this, your best friend, father, mother, all things, you know, and just so completely just loving and welcoming, and just talking about small things, not about the nature of moksha or, you know, all these things, you know, sometimes we wanted to ask him, you know, but it was just, and because of that, it was talking about all those things, and then finally the rainstorm came, and he went back in his room, and I slept under the little eave in front of the door, and it was like, you know, everybody else was asleep, and we were up for like 3 or 4 hours, and just, it was just an awesome time.
Totally bathing in his love.
Yeah.
Mm.
Totally bathing in his love on these moments that you know, you couldn't just go to bed because you wanted more, and you were just sitting there. And
Yeah, I didn't sleep a lot that night, actually. Smile a lot.
a few nights like that too. So the yatra, huh?
Yeah, the one you wrote about a month or two ago. You went on a horse up to Butternut or something.
yeah, we went to Kedarnath, and we started early in the morning, and Baba was sitting on a horse with a whole lot of people, and I was walking next to the horse, and he got me to shout all the time, "Oh, Haidakhandi." It was sort of new then, actually.
And what does it mean?
Pay attention, be careful, here is the Lord of the universe is coming. So I was proclaiming this all the time and walking in front of his horse, and then he also had all these stacks of 1 and 2 rupee notes, and there were all these sadhus sitting by the side of the road, some next to the road and some more up. He always pulled one off, and he said, for him, and so I was walking up with Baba next to the horse and running around with doing this and proclaiming this, oh Shadhan. But you're at a serious altitude there, and going up was 18 kilometers, 18 miles, I never found out really, but anyway, it's a trip.
Felt like 18 miles.
Well, I felt, I didn't even think about being tired, I just did this, but when the temple came in vision, and the steps, there were steps there, were cut out in the ice, I started to feel a bit tired. But you know, you're seeing the temple, and we're going there. So we came close, and it was great, but I started to feel really tired when we got there. And Muniraji had organized a puja where we would all be present, that we had to wait one moment till the temple was empty, and then Muniraji and all of us could go inside. By the time that happened, I was feeling totally drained. So I sat a little bit in the back against the wall and looking at the being present at the puja, but I felt more and more gone. And when we all left, I stumbled out of the temple, and there was this big, square around the temple where people were walking and doing. And I sat down in the middle of all these people, and even that felt too much that I couldn't sit there, so I just cuddled up, lying there. And people were all busy on their own thing, and they had forgotten about me. We were only the devotees of Babaji, and Babaji was just a small group of all the people present there. I was totally gone. And all of a sudden Loknath steps over me and said, "Hey Raghu, what are you doing here?" Well, I'm totally gone. I'm so tired. I don't know what happened. I feel totally drained. He said, come on, man. And he lifted me up together with somebody else, and they carried me to a tea shop just in front there. But only the smells of this food and the tea, I couldn't even think of having something. So I had a cup of hot water, but even that didn't go down very well. And they said, Babaji's having lunch there, we better go and eat also, because soon we have to go back. So I had this hot water, and they brought me also there, and I just sat in the corner and I started to think, oh my God, here I walk up like a lion, roaring up the mountain, boundless of energy, and now I can't even sit on a horse. I think I'll fall off the horse if in the way that I'm now. I have to sit like one of those 80-year-old people in one of those one of those portable chairs. And I was thinking all these things, and I think, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I have to organize something, but I was even too tired to organize something. All of a sudden, Babaji steps out of the door and says, there was this sign of going. And I jumped up and I said, oh Shah, Sadam. And I started walking, and I walked next to him, and I helped him on his horse, and we walked down. Like if all of that was, in the beginning I didn't even think about it, and I thought, wow, that changed. And about 2/3 of the road, he got off his horse and he put me on his horse. And I didn't even need it on that moment. But it was, for so long, it was just such an incredible, when I started to think about this don't even have your own energy. It's all in. It's all, was completely taken over, and how much powerless I felt on that moment, and couldn't gather my thoughts, and couldn't eat or drink anything. It was just, I felt totally hopeless, and all of a sudden everything was back to normal.